Bitcoin is going to hit 116,000 by May 21st. That's a promise. All that and more on today's Sacred Prophet Sunday Fuel.
Okay, well, that's good.
Wait. Sacred Prophet Sunday Fuel.
Oh my God. No.
Peter, we come back from Consensus 2025 in Toronto, and I'm upgraded. I feel like a new man, I gotta say. And I have one voice inside of my head that just keeps going over and over again.
Do it. Do it.
Do it? What does it say?
It's Palpatine. Do it. Just
Do
become the person you need to be.
Okay, that one was a little low.
Sure, fine, whatever, Peter. After seeing Consensus 2025, which we were at, I'm not sure if I mentioned that before. We're at Consensus 2025. It was
Yeah, it
a
was
Bitcoin
great.
conference. It's just a who's there, you know. Eric Trump was there, sort of Secret Service. I don't know, just sort of how we roll sometimes. We also got to talk to Charlie, which is great. I'm sorry, Charles Hoskinson, the founder of the Cardano blockchain and the creator of Midnight, which is going to be launching soon. But we'll talk about all that like later on. But the who's who were there, all kinds of different people, all kinds of VCs, all kinds of high net worth individuals. And I gotta say, I felt like one of them. I felt like I was amongst my people, because it turns out they're just like us, right? They're just like everybody else. I thought it was like Elysium and Earth sort of situation, but no, it's just in time, District 1. They just have more money, more power, more fame, more status. You take all that away, we're all the same. And it made me realize the distance between me, where I am right now, and getting to them is not far at all. Especially since I have something they don't have, which is direct communication with the Lord of Liquidity, where I'm able to predict where Bitcoin's going to be basically to the day. I'm telling you, this power really sets me apart. Yeah.
Why do I even need to be here? Just you and your soundboard. That's all you really need.
Then something just snapped. Something inside of me. I didn't care anymore.
What was that, Vegeta?
That's right, Vegeta. The best of all the Saiyans. All right, Peter. People are here for the straight facts to know how they should trade. And, we talk about 50x leverage trades here in order to make some serious money in short-term periods. Also could lose serious money if you're not careful, so don't go crazy and betting. But 116,000 on Bitcoin would be something of a, what is that, a 16% move?
Do I show
something like that? Actually, I'm just going to pull up here. 10% move, right? 10% move. And a 10% move, 50x leverage, you're looking at a 500% gain on your position. There's your opportunity to 5x your money. So should you go all in right now, at this moment, and write it for the next week? Go leverage long Bitcoin, get options on it, just do whatever you need to do in order to make this move count?
Do it.
I'm not saying doing it. I'm not gonna say to do it.
That do it one is so weak, Tom. You can barely hear it.
Silence.
Okay.
People will listen if you're silent, Peter. Okay.
So we go all in, is what you're saying?
All in. I didn't say all in. I didn't say all in. But if you did go all in and you did make 5x your money in the time frame I'm talking about, because Bitcoin gets 116,000, please thank me. Please send a shout out to old Tommy Boy over here. And if you don't, if you go all in and you fail, well, I guess I don't have to really worry about it, because no one's ever going to hear about you again. Right.
So you weren't joking about 116 by May what?
Joking? I don't joke, Peter. I speak with the Lord of Liquidity, and he speaks through me.
Who are these sound effects for?
For me.
For
For me, Peter.
Okay. Well, clearly.
This is all for me, okay? I don't have to sit here and talk to you losers and tell you all the information that's coming from the ether. I do it because I'm compelled by my lord of liquidity.
And
Okay?
does your lord tell you to play these sound effects too?
He certainly does. Certainly does.
All right. I want to know. Okay, what are we
I have
talking
to do
about here
something
today?
to make this more entertaining for me.
Do you?
You know, I got real things to do, and I got to come here and provide these sermons to people so that they can make their lives better and get more profit. Peter, I'm compelled to do it, like Noah building the ark. I'm trying to help people, but not because I want to, but because I have to.
And so you want to make it more entertaining for yourself. I get it. I get it. All right. So we're going to be
All right,
talking
let's start
about
church here. Let's go ahead and start church here. All right, let's switch to the charts. We could switch to the charts, thanks. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that goes on for a while, that one. That's what we call a loop. 116,000 in Bitcoin. Let's get this short and sweet.
Okay, by when?
It should start basically.
Wait, hang on. We got to start with the previous week. All right. Then we're going to get to, look, we talked to our marketing team and they talked about how you got to bait that hook. You can't give them everything at the beginning, even though I think you did. Previous week, what's going on?
Nothing happened over the previous week. The chart stayed even more sideways than it did the week before. It was so boring. I mean, nothing happened. There was not enough movement for it to do anything. I think the total range was, what was the range here? 4%, but no reliable 4%. So we did get some bounces off the trend level over here, but not off the levels that we're looking at for our daily VWAPs or our weekly ones. We didn't even get close to touching them. We just stayed in the silly sideways consolidation where nothing to write home about, which is fine.
But
we had consensus to go to, so.
I thought we could make money in sideways.
You can, but it has to get to the levels that we're actually talking about. It has to actually hit the levels. Now, if it actually hit anywhere here, the 100,000 on Bitcoin and 99, fine, I would have taken a long position. But it didn't do that. If it had gone up to this trend level, I might have taken a short, maybe. It didn't get there. So there's nothing significant here that made me think that we should actually take a trade. In fact, the VWAP trend switched to bearish for one day, then to consolidation for the days afterwards. So we didn't even get the follow through of moving all the way down like I've been hoping. So nothing happened last week. Does that satisfy you, Peter? There was no trades to actually focus on last week. And that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you sell in May and go away, fine. Can we move on to the week ahead?
So wait, you're not going to give me any... You're not going to give... You're not going to give me any reasoning of what happened last week? Why is it sideways? Like, what's going on?
When you take a look at liquidity...
Your liquidity charts, your shorts.
Well,
and
it called for it.
Charts.
The liquidity called for it. So over here, if you take a look at the previous week, this is the sideways level over here, and it was always going to go sideways to slightly down,
right.
And that's exactly what happened. We had this bear flag that shows up. Pas plus grave que ça.
So you said that by consensus there would be a dip. Down.
I was hoping. If there's going to be a dip at all, I was hoping that this dip over here would coincide with a dip for consensus down to 100 or any one of these levels. The fact that it has not happened is speaking to the bullishness, to the power of the Lord of Liquidity. Right? This chart is going up and to the right, and it's pulling all those assets up. That's what it's going to do. I was actually telling somebody last night, a friend of mine who was looking to sell their Bitcoin, and because they weren't sure what was going to happen. And I was like, hey, look, the same chart that we've been looking at for months now, where we get the drawdown from over here, just like the liquidity said, that we get the drawdown, that we would get a low around the 74 area, which is exactly what we got around the April timeframe, and that we get a run up starting there to the levels, the weekly levels that we were paying attention to. All that happened exactly the way it should. It also is saying that it's going to be pretty boring as we just basically stair step up. It's going to go up, stair step sideways, go up, stair step sideways, go up, stair step sideways. Now, what you don't want to do is miss out these stair steps, because what happens is that it's boring, jump up 10%, or what is it, 5%, 10%, boring, jump up 10%, boring, jump up 7%. It's going to go boring again, and I believe get up to 116. All right, because that's what the liquidity says, up and to the right.
All right, okay. So the previous week we got that sideways consolidation, no real moves happening, following the liquidity trend, everything going according to plan. All right, so that's the previous week. Upcoming week, go.
Upcoming week. So here, the dip that I was expecting, or potentially happening here around the 16th of May, didn't occur. What we had was a little bit of a pullback in the price in what's called a well, this could be called a pennant. It's either a bear flag or sideways, and this shape means that the price can go up anyway. It can go up, it can go down. So then, if the chart pattern is showing that, what you have to look at are what are the levels that the price is being called to. Our nearest levels are down here at 99.3 or around 100. So it's called 993, 91.8, 85.2, and 80,000. All right. However, in a bullish trend, when you're getting the liquidity pushing the price up and stair stepping up, what happens is that those levels don't need to actually be mitigated yet. Right? If we take a look, let's say over here, the last time we had this, we have these levels over here. This one is this one over here, this one over here, this one over here. Actually, that one was mitigated. This one over here. They don't get crossed until way later, right? Where the price comes down to cross these levels. So the evidence that these levels, these weekly levels, have not been crossed is an indication of bullishness. Then the liquidity bullishness, and then we have the chart pattern that's confirming again this bullish move up. And where has the price stalled here? It stalled right above this trend level that we're looking at. These two trends. It's right here, right? Even today, we saw that it actually tried to push up into that level. So we're exhausting the selling. And then once that's cleared, once this goes sideways enough, because remember, corrections can happen in time as well as in price, then we're going to get another stair step up. But this stair step won't be like the other ones that we had, because it'll be greater. So all the levels that we've seen so far have been small, but this one here is going to be one order of magnitude more. It'll be a big run up. And that big run up will be met with sideways action all the way, sideways to down action all the way to the 17th of June. So this run up that's going to be happening soon, you don't want to miss this guy. This you want to get. And then the peak that'll happen, so let's say this run up occurs, it gets up to over here, let's say, then it's going to set up a consolidation range. And you're going to want to short, long, short, long, short, long, depending on how it goes. I don't know how the pattern will go, but if you're going to be playing the consolidation, that's what you're going to want. Yeah, Peter.
Michael in the chat, he's asking, small in by what date? 116. So when are we hitting 116?
It should be this week. So anyway, it's basically starting now all the way to about let's call it the 24th of May, maybe even the 28th of May. But let's call it the 24th. So basically, yeah. So essentially by this next weekend.
Good question, Michael. Thanks for asking.
Then we're going to get some sideways top. People are going to be screaming and yelling about a potential double top, because who knows how big that wick might be, right? This candle might, once we go up, the candle might be some giant wick. It could be something like that. And then people are going to be calling for, they're going to say it's a double top or a triple top or whatever, end of the cycle. And people are going to be looking for the price to violently retreat, which will not happen. I don't see that happening, because if we add on top of that, the idea here of what we're seeing, let me just go over here to the liquidation chart. Sorry, the leverage charts. Let's just go to 30 days. You guys will remember that we were lopsided short, right? So we had billions of dollars of shorts in the futures market for Bitcoin and USDT, and then very few leverage longs. What does that mean? It means the shorts are going to have to cover at some point. At some point, they have to cover. Either in profit or in loss, they have to cover. And if the price, as they cover, they're buying back those billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. So you get this move up in Bitcoin. But because they're so stacked, the shorts are so stacked, the buybacks cause liquidations that jump the price forward, right? Because all of a sudden billions of dollars are now hitting the market. It jumps up. It triggers another cascade of liquidations, which is buying, forced buying. The price moves up and triggers another series of liquidations. This is what you're seeing over here. Whenever you're wondering as to why does the price stair step in this way? Why does the price stair step in this way? These are liquidations, right? So what happens is that it gets liquidated up. Then there's an air pocket in the liquidations. The bears are sort of like still buying, but not enough to move the price. So like, okay, well, I'm not sure what's going on. Then more liquidations occur as the price moves up a little bit. It liquidates and liquidates and liquidates and liquidates, and then it goes sideways still. Here we get more bullish buying pressure, and then some shorts go, well, I don't want to hold out anymore. They close their positions, and it causes liquidations, and then we get these sideways moves. So the liquidations occurs, you get the stair step as it hits those liquidation bubbles, then you get air pockets as the positions open up again. Now the thing is, the question is, once the price is moving in this way, do the shorts come back in? Do the leverage shorts come back in and go, no, I'm going to leverage more my position now? And it looks like that might be what's happening. Over here, we have, if we take a look at the 25x, 5, 10, 25, and 50x, 200x leverage on Binance exchanges over the last 30 days, we have about $2 billion worth of shorts versus $250 million worth of longs. Right? So that means there's almost 10 times more shorts than there are longs in the leverage position, not the spot market. If we take a look at Binance, OKX, and Bybit over the last 30 days, we have 4.8, so nearly 5 billion shorts versus 500 million long. Again, 10x. So it's not as stacked as it was with the previously when we saw it. Wasn't as concentrated, but those shorts, if they don't get to pay off those positions, if they didn't, if the price goes sideways or sideways to up, they're eventually going to have to cover. And if these are the same shorts that were liquidated before, they're not going to be as patient, holding billions of dollars of shorts this time. At least that's my guess. And so then we're going to get these liquidations. Even if part of these liquidations occur, that's enough to get us to 116,000. In the same way that from the lows of 74, we were able to move up. What was this? Move up 40% in 40 days. So same sort of thing can occur. We can move up 16% in 16 days. Go ahead, Peter.
Michael has a follow-up question in the chat. Probability of 116 above 60%. What is the probability of a return to 99,000? So 2 questions. What's the probability that it will hit 116 in the time frame you're talking about?
It's hard for me to give a percent of probability for that. It's definitely, if there's no, I wouldn't be giving you a mathematical calculation. I would say it's very likely that will occur. And if that's a 75%, I would say 3 out of 4 times, that's what's going to happen. But the other question of if it could go down to 99, that absolutely can occur. In fact, 99 is well within the bullish structure of the price that we're seeing, right? 99 does not even negate the bull run, not the bull run, but the bullish trend, right? Because 99 is just last week's weekly trade, right? 99, 99.3.
What do you
So
think the
that's
likelihood
total
of
capital.
that is? Probability.
Oh, the likelihood of hitting a nearby unmitigated VWAP level is always high, right? Whenever it doesn't happen, like over here where it didn't actually hit this lower level, like that's unusual. But it did actually hit, you'll notice over here, you see this yellow one here? This is the 3-month VWAP level. We don't normally talk about 3-month because that's usually more longer term, but you notice that the price, that's where it hit again and again and again. It's no coincidence that that's where the price hit and then it moved up. So it's the likelihood of hitting a nearby VWAP level, especially since we have 2 here, we have a daily and we have a weekly, is high.
When you say high, 75%, what?
Because it's the previous week, I would say maybe 60% chance. There's more of a chance that we run up than we actually go down there. The thing is that oftentimes the run up is preceded by a pull down. The price pulls down in order to liquidate enough, in order to get more trick more shorts in to run up the price. So you're seeing the same thing over here. Here we had it pulled down into this level, and then once it liquidated, it cleared out, right? So the pull back and then up. Over here, pull back and then up. We have here a pullback and then up. So the idea that it can get to 99, absolutely it can. I would not be surprised in the least if it got there. In fact, I would prefer that, because if that happened, it means we're having a healthy move up. Whereas these moves so far where we haven't touched these levels means that later on when we're gonna come back down, we're gonna rocket through those levels. Right? In the same way that we rocketed through the levels over here, all this move down, like we rocketed through these VWAP levels all the way down to the lows. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, Michael. Thank you for that question. I pressed Tom to get the answer there for you. Probability of 116 above 60%. He's saying maybe 75%, not financial advice, but that's what he's seeing. And what is the probability of a return to 99,000? Very high probability, although it was last week's level. We could be seeing that here. That's around 60%. Again, not financial advice, but this is coming direct from the Lord of Liquidity. So you might want to,
You underestimate my power!
All right, so that'll be for the week ahead. I'm totally expecting. In fact, yesterday when I was talking to my friend and the price was like low, he's like, "Well, all signs are pointing to the price going to go down. Bitcoin's going to go down." And I go, "Everything I'm seeing here, this is like a hugely bullish setup with the trend levels. We have the liquidity projection that's moving up. If we take a look at the financial markets, let me just pull that up real quick. Financial conditions for the dollar, we're going to see here for the dollar, we had a breakdown below 100. You guys remember we've talked about this, breakdown below 100, pull back up. And now the idea is that it's retesting over here and we'll see what happens. So if this is a retest at this level and we're going to head back lower, that's even more liquidity that's going to be released into the system. And that sort of thing happens all the time. So we'll see. I'm seeing just bullishness. The thing that would negate my bullishness is if we see a break and a close below 99. If we see a break and a close below 99, I'm wrong. And we're likely going to head down to 91.8, 85.2, 80,000, what we're talking about. That still doesn't negate the long-term bullish trend. I'm just saying that can actually occur. A dip can actually occur. If we get past the 24th, 28th of May, and we still haven't had a step change up, also, I would say maybe my thesis is negated. We'll revisit then, but that's what we'll be looking for. So a time, if we don't get there, or if price moves down a certain level. Until those two things happen, one of those two things happen, 116. I was actually looking in the option space on Deribit to see, hey, would it be useful to place like options long, because you get that convexity to the upside. But the way that IV implied volatility is priced right now, you're actually getting worse results than if you were just levered long with the perpetual futures contract. So can't really even suggest that.
What are the levels this week?
The level this week, it looks like it will be looks like it'll be 103. 103, 104. We'll see. I'll tweet it out when it's approved, but that seems to be a level. But we're already seeing the price essentially suggest that we're going to get this long. You guys always know this, that we either pull back into or rise up into the weekend, and this looks like to be the fall into it. So that's also bullish. If this comes even lower, fine, I'm wrong. But if it doesn't, this pretends to, and Peter, well, I'll just zoom in over here. You'll notice that the daily VWAP levels that we look at during the week, which wasn't enough to call for trades, but the levels are being respected. We had to pull back into the VWAP level. It moved up, and now we're pulling back down to the VWAP level for today's level. And so tomorrow's level is going to be at 100, for the daily, it's going to be 104.5. It'll be around over here. So the idea here is that once this week closes, what you're going to want to be looking at is for this price to move up to that level, come above, and then retest to go. But that's if this closes below this level. If the 8 to 10 o'clock candle closes below that level, this is the move I would sort of expect. And the bearish one would be that we move up over here and then reject down. So we'll see.
All right. So Tom, if somebody wants to get your indicators, what you're seeing on these charts, because not everybody has this, what can you do to get that?
Any day now we're launching the Sacred Profit dashboard. I know we keep saying that, but it's true, and that's how development works. I don't feel bad about it because that's what it is. Don't jump down my throat. If you want them right away, you could always message me on Telegram, on Twitter, on X, YouTube comments. You always let me know, and I'll grant you access to it. Walk you through the steps in order to get access to it. Other than that, wait until we have the dashboard. You can point and click and get your stuff. Until then, if you don't want to do either of those two things, well, then you got to pay attention to the vessel of the Lord of Liquidity here on Sacred Profit on Sunday Fuel. I can't tell you why, Peter. I can only tell you what, when, how, and where. That's it. That's all I can do. I'm not perfect. What do you think? Any questions you got, Peter?
Yeah. You told me something. Michael says, thank you. Good answer. Thank you, Michael. Jerome Powell, he said something like, I am never going to do quantitative easing or something of that nature.
No.
Well, I mean, basically put a middle finger up to Trump.
No. Well, I didn't hear that. What I heard was that he said, we might have to change how we execute our mandate for stable prices and full employment, because what we thought was going to be transitory and one-time supply shock and blah, 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 we're in another transitory phase, doesn't look like it's going to be so transitory anymore. And it looks like he's basically covering his butt for when things go off the rails. Inflation will come roaring back. We're going to see 8% bond yields. I don't see any way that we're going to avoid that for the U.S. Treasuries for the 10-year. He'll be able to blame Trump, right? He'll be able to blame Trump. Hey, that's what it is. And rare are the times where you hear the Fed basically go, we're going to have to revamp and change the way that we're doing things. The last time was Ben Bernanke, quantitative easing, global financial crisis. And the time before that was Alan Greenspan and the dot-com bubble.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we get to experience another one of these disasters where we're on the brink.
We follow the Lord of liquidity. We're fine with that. We don't care if the chart's going down. Flip it, invert that chart, just bullish from the other end. Guys, once you can read the charts, when you understand what's going on and what we're actually trading, you don't care what's going to go on. Like, you want them to set the world on fire. Just do whatever you need to do. Pump liquidity, drain it out. I don't care. We get to trade the asset however we want. We don't need Bitcoin to be at $13 million per coin. What is it? Isn't that what Michael Saylor said? $13 million a coin for us to make any money. It can go down to $10 and we can still make money.
Tom, okay, so we're at consensus, and I'm watching, Charles Hoskinson, and he's talking on a panel with Eric Trump. I don't know. The Trumps seem really gung ho about crypto, especially Bitcoin. Is there any possibility 4D chess where disasters are going to happen, which will facilitate the transition to Bitcoin as the main thing? Because they want a US backed stable coin. Doesn't that tie into Bitcoin in some way?
Until I hear that the United States is going to allow people to pay their taxes in Bitcoin, I don't care. I don't care about any of the rest of it. That to me
Why
is a
wouldn't they do
sign
that?
that if they
Why
did do
wouldn't they
that,
do that?
if they do that, then they're giving up in no small part the sovereignty or the power of the United States through the US dollar.
I
The
think
whole
if
point is that
anybody's
they're the only ones, quote unquote, who can issue the US dollar, which means they have the ability, they have a gold printing machine. If they switch to Bitcoin or allow Bitcoin, then they can't print Bitcoin.
yeah, but they can control the supply.
No, they can't control the supply. But what happened in 1971 when gold was the thing that they were fudging in order to get the liquidity that they wanted? Eventually, you have to be like, enough. We're not doing this. We're not doing this anymore.
Precious.
1971, Nixon takes us off the gold standard. And the whole pretense of pretending to have the gold necessary in order to pay for the debt's gone. Unleash the American empire across the world. If they go to Bitcoin, that's harder to fudge because it's on the blockchain. They're going to be restricted. So
Look, you're not getting it, okay? You probably don't know what Trump just did in Syria, Iran. I think Donald Trump wants to be a transformational president. And, and kind of screw the guy who comes after you. I changed the whole system. Everybody's going to know I changed the system. That guy already won. Why doesn't he just go, all right, there goes the US dollar. Now we're making a fairer world to become the transformational president he wants to be?
if that happens, if he says anything to that effect or implements anything to that effect, I'll have the conversation then. Until then, I go with what the charts are telling me. And the charts are not set up in any way that's suggesting that will occur. Nothing.
I think you don't believe in King Trump as much as you should. He's got a MAGA hat, by the way. He's got a MAGA hat right there off screen. He's got a MAGA hat. He doesn't want to put it on.
What I do have trust in is the midnight token from
So
Charles
exciting.
Hoskinson.
Oh my God, so exciting.
Do we have that interview?
I'm not ready to play right now.
No worries. So here's the thing with the midnight token. I'm like, although Cardano is the token I care most about and what I hold most of, I hold it just out of principle. I'm not sitting there going, I think this is going to the moon and this is the most hype thing, whatever. I did that, Safe Moon and Pepe and Elon token and Shiba Inu. That's where I go and do crazy things if I want to make huge multiples on my money. I have not been as excited for a altcoin as excited as with Midnight. Midnight is a privacy token, so it's a partner chain for the Cardano blockchain system. So it's going to be within that ecosystem. But the idea is that it's going to restore or attempted to restore privacy to individuals and institutions. Because the whole promise with crypto to begin with, yes, you have the ability to transfer it 24/7. Yes, there's no limit to the amount of money you can transfer. You're not restricted by borders, not restricted by banks, not restricted by any of that. Yes. But what you get along with that is absolute transparency. Not only can everyone see who owns what or what wallet addresses own what, so you can't even spend any of it without it being able to be tracked. If I just send you a token, anything, I can send you them yet, nothing. I know everything about your whole wallet and what you're doing, all the transactions and everything that you spider off from there. Because there's no way to transfer, unless you're using something like Tornado Cash or what have you, there's no way to transfer your crypto assets with it being obfuscated. Midnight tries to bring that back into the fold. That means an organization can have all the benefits of the blockchain, but with privacy, where you can selectively disclose the components, the aspects, the information that you're looking to do without having to offload all the privacy information, right? So you can imagine a company, let's say they wanted to have a service, an offering, and it was going to be blockchain based. Well, they still needed to keep your personal information off to the side, siloed in a centralized location, so that it could say, hey, this wallet address belongs to Tom Hartman over here, and here's his credit card information, and here's whatever, his email address, in order to tie it to it. But that centralized thing is not on the blockchain. Right. Well, it's still vulnerable. It doesn't have the same transparency, or not transparency, but it can't be audited in the same ways, all kinds of issues. You know, that's the whole thing that we're trying to move away from. But with Midnight, if it's set up, from what I understand from the developers, how it's set up, that you'd be able to have also that piece of that information also on the blockchain, but obfuscated. Midnight just did an arrangement with Brave, the Brave browser, which is very big privacy focused, to have a part of its payment structure. So on Brave, you can have people, the ad revenue is, I don't know the exact model for the ad revenue, but essentially allows more flexibility there. But the idea is that you use the Midnight token in order to work with the privacy layer, so that Brave becomes one of the more crypto-friendly browsers out there with obfuscated hidden information. That to me is amazing. And then, which is great, but then we talked to Charles and we asked him, hey, the cadence of the release of news here for Midnight, for the integrations that's going to have, for the features that's going to have, for how you guys going to be deploying it, which is to all ADA, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, BNB holders, or whatever it is, like unbelievable, no VC backing. The cadence seems to be pretty hefty. You guys are going through this information pretty quickly. Does that mean that this is the tip of the iceberg and you guys have a lot more coming? And what did Charles say? Absolutely. So it's basically every week you're going to have bombshell news that's happening all the way up to the release of this coin, which means that when it releases, it's entirely possible that because of it's not just some coin that someone dusted into your wallet. It has actual utility that's unlike any of the other utilities from the other chains, which means it might dramatically increase in value pretty quickly, right? And Charles and Cardano are not this is not the ecosystem where people normally talk about the price of things. But that's the implication here, that it actually go up in value pretty dramatically, which means people can wake up one day and have, who knows, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tokens deposited into their wallet with an incentive not to sell them. What happens there? What happens with a token like that, where there's a massive utility to it, a substantial utility to it that people want? You can't get in a pre-mine. You can't get it in a VC fund. There's no massive unlock waiting to dump on the people. It's not Trump coin. So you're going to be sitting there with these coins and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is actually worth something. And it's going to be bringing attention to the Cardano chain in a way that we haven't seen before. It might be the biggest calling card to the Cardano chain that we've ever seen. And we don't even have the tokenomics yet. The Midnight Foundation has the tokenomics paper. It's going to be released any day soon. And we're going to get an idea of, okay, how does the new tokens get created? What's the valuation model we can expect for this? So we already know there's a use for it. So who knows what that turns into? So I don't know. Do I jump ship from Cardano to the Midnight token? But you can't go on a bunch of exchanges and there's a bunch of Midnight tokens either. You know, like they're going to have to be put onto exchanges for you to even be able to buy them there. So let's say it drops today, like right this minute, you can go to Binance and buy a bunch of it. It's like, to me, it's just absolutely crazy. Anyways, I could gush about it on and on, but suffice it to say, it is the most excited I've been about a coin launch in absolute years.
Well, Charles was definitely excited about it. We saw him beaming. In fact, I think you said that to him. We're going to be dropping that interview like probably tomorrow, maybe even today. We'll get that up. Actually, should we wait until your dashboard is up? I'm not sure.
No. Let's put
We'll put it out. Yeah, we'll put it out right away. We met some lovely people at Consensus. We'll have some interviews that we'll be putting up there. We went digging and looking for the good stuff, so you can expect that on this channel here shortly.
Other than that, let's get back to work, right? This Monday's not going to make itself. Let's go back to the charts. And if you guys want to follow me, please feel free to do so on X. That's where I post the most of my information, easiest to get a hold of me. Please like and subscribe. It really helps to get visibility to the channel. And, you know, I offer everything I do for free. You know, I offer it for free. So just like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it.
Like and
All right.
subscribe.
Back to the mines. Hey, you know, there's one thing you can't do right now. There's one thing you can't do right now.
What?
Actually, I'm afraid to say it because you might do it, but don't do it. But you can't do it. You can't stand up right now, can you?
Do not tempt the sacred prophet.
All right, you guys. Ciao for now.
Wait, everyone's going to think I'm pantsless.
You can't prove them wrong.
Wait, I don't want people to think that I'm pantsless.